It's Corey Lajoie. He's here. Corey Lajoie's here. Corey's here.
You good?
I haven't been picked up and carried around in my life ever.
I deemed Daniel Hemrick as the most sexiest man in NASCAR. But Danny, this dude looks good.
But you gotta pick one. You can't have them both.
Whew, let me see your abs.
It's the full package. Your teeth looks amazing.
I love the beard. I love the swagger.
It's hairy.
Oh,
That's a man.
That's a man. I asked all of y'all, I said, give me the top 5 good-looking guys.
Yep.
Don't blow smoke up my ass.
Bro, that's your brand. That's your brand.
What? No,
Because if you think
the
about
flow
it,
is the brand right
the flow is the brand, but the flow can go into
the face
sexy.
is the brand.
But that's what I'm saying. It can go into sexy.
Corey,
when you think about NASCAR, you don't think about
the
sexy.
Brand. Why are you not gonna say that?
Does he know it?
You
Look at
put
the
your
blue
face on
eyes.
the
Look at the
car.
blue eyes. Look at the blue eyes.
It is what it is, bro. I didn't know.
Look at the teeth. Look at the teeth.
I spent a lot of money on these teeth.
Right, and it complements your lips. I love your lips.
Thanks, man.
I love the blue eyes.
How about the beard?
Yeah, I love the beard.
Everything else?
Because like
You
the
love his
lips, the
lips.
blue. Bro, like you wouldn't kiss him.
Listen,
you
I can
wouldn't
tell
kiss
a
him?
man looks good. My
You-
man Corey's a good looking dude. I don't love his lips, dude.
You feeling uncomfortable?
Yeah.
You like his lips.
Bro, look at his lips.
It's the chapstick she put on the makeup.
Like,
Lips, but they lips.
Like, he know.
Like Jason Momoa,
Yeah.
man.
You married?
I got Jason Momoa the other day.
You got?
Yeah, because the one time I put my hair in a ponytail, I went to dinner. That waiter was like, "You look like Aquaman." I was like, "Thanks. I appreciate that."
That's a good one.
Yeah, I think Jason got you by about 100 pounds.
Yeah,
so.
you do.
Of muscle, bro. Jason Momoa was a man.
Yeah,
I
right,
can say that. I said on the show, I would raise a child with Jason Momoa. We could adopt a baby and me and him could be something. I ain't gonna talk about his lips.
Like,
He's got nice lips, though.
I dream about them
Sexy
teeth.
boy.
That's gonna be on my
But
Christmas
why
list.
us men, we can't tell another man he's
No,
sexy?
you can.
No,
That's
the
not the
sexy
problem.
thing. The
You
lips.
said I
All
like
right, but
your
let's go.
lips.
The lips
And then you
is
got
what-
your
that's
chapstick.
over
That's what
the
one
edge.
to put it on
That's
his
over
lips.
the edge.
That's
Yeah,
too
you
much.
know,
So-
The lips is over the
You
edge.
just got
B.
carried away.
Now you want to chapstick his lips like that's over the edge.
Right.
Okay, I want to figure out who the top 5 sexiest or hottest drivers are. I
feel
don't
like
know
that
if
should be-
NASCAR's ever done
I
that.
feel like that.
Give me
should be
your
up for
top
a poll. Ooh, Rock, you gotta input a little bit on top 5 sexiest NASCAR drivers.
Jeff
of all time.
Gordon?
No, time
Yeah.
out. He lose all credibility because
I
he
didn't
didn't
say
name
you.
you.
Oh,
So, like, I don't want to hear about his top
Why you
5.
snitching? Why you dry snitching?
Why wouldn't you say him?
Well, why does he got to know I didn't say him?
because he just
I'm
told
gonna
me.
call you out.
I was probably 6 on his list, though.
No, he didn't name you at all.
Corey,
And
some
you-
things
and
don't
you-
need to be said.
I
Some
thought we
things
were
are
cool.
given.
Oh, I like that. So give us your top 5.
Jeff Gordon's on that list.
No, current.
Okay.
Okay.
This is new, bro. 2022.
Man, I'll tell you,
new.
the bar for driver appearance is fairly low. I'll be honest.
Okay.
We are a bunch of nerdy, white, Caucasian, just scrawny guys.
Right.
There ain't a whole lot going on
Right.
for it. Now, if I can be in the bottom half of the top 5, I'm good with that. Blaney's a good-looking guy. He's got
Okay.
the beard going.
His name came
He's
up.
multifaceted. Sometimes he can go with the long hair, clean shaven. Sometimes he can go full woolly man with beard. I respect the versatility. He's probably close to the top of the list right now.
Facts.
Right.
Come on.
I don't look around when I'm walking through the garage. I'm not scoping out he's definitely number 3. So you're kind of putting me on the spot. I'm like,
Come on, but you know.
Cole Custer.
Cole Custer wouldn't make my top 5. You know.
What do you mean?
Honorable mention. Stop. Honorable mention.
But your boys, man, I know you tight with Bubba. I know you tight with Joey Logono. They not on there?
Sliced
Joey's
bread.
not in the top 5.
Sliced bread. That smile is the best thing since sliced bread. That's his nickname, sliced
No, he's
bread.
Next Gen Joe now.
Ooh. Why?
I'm trying to change his nickname for him. I'm trying to he's like a caterpillar going into, what do they call it? Not hibernation, but like
cocoon.
He's about to come out of his cocoon with Next Gen. We're trying to drop the Y, new branding, right? He's gonna shave his head. Go ahead and own it. Next Gen Joe. You like that?
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. I mean, go with it.
I mean, think about how many T-shirts he can sell. Next Gen Joe.
There you go.
He ain't gonna do it.
Tell all listeners.
There you go.
I mean,
Next Gen Joe.
I'm trying to get Twitter polls going, the whole deal.
Right.
I
like
only need a 10% cut off every T-shirt.
Ooh,
That's all I'm asking.
That's a lot.
10?
That's a lot.
Agents get 3.
I mean, the margins on
All
the
right, so I'll
T-shirt is
split
not
it.
high. If we're throwing a $39
7.5.
T-shirt, it's not high on the margins.
I'm trying to find out where you got that Woodbury T-shirt from.
Can't tell you, baby.
I like that shirt.
I'll tell you when we get to the Coliseum.
If you had to go buy one NASCAR T-shirt, and if you went to the trailer, what are you buying?
Honestly, the only one I wear now is Bubba.
You want me to give you one so you can wear one of mine? Like if Bubba's dirty, you can pull mine out.
I got.
I mean, not mothballs like this.
Honestly, on the show, I don't know if you saw Bubba episode.
Yeah.
On the show, that's what Bubba was like, hey, I'm gonna send y'all shirts. And Bubba sent us all shirts. And I'm gonna rep it. And people run up in Miami.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, Bubba, man, I mess with Bubba 2-3. I'm like,
Dude.
yeah, 2-3. And I wear it all
Bubba's
around
well
Miami.
known. A lot, y'all probably don't know. I drove Bubba to high school for 3 years.
No, wow.
We grew up 2 miles apart from each other. Yeah, went to the same high school.
Alabama.
No, he moved up here when he was probably 10 or 12, so we went to the same high school. He lived, if that's the high school, I lived there, he lived there, so every morning, drive over there, pick him up, drive to school, drop him off. 3 years, every day. You know how much that sucker gave me in gas money? $20 for 3 years.
Really?
I'm talking to you,
Now he
Bubba.
understands, Chad.
He's giving out T-shirts for their water.
I see. We
I'm
need
just trying to get
20%.
gas money.
We just need
now,
20%.
hang on. I did wreck him at Phoenix, so we're even.
Just about to ask.
You ain't gonna go.
I don't know if I want to be your friend because you and Bubba that tight. And you rap. Why did you rap Bubba in Phoenix? What was that?
I got a little help, but I f***ed up.
Number 3, Bubba Wallace is around and into the outside wall. Contact finds Bubba Wallace spinning up the banking and just nailing the safer barrier.
That might very well have been a chain reaction issue, but Corey Lajoie did in fact get into the left rear corner of his good buddy and a guy he went to high school with, Bubba Wallace.
We've been racing together since we've been 12 years old, and that was the first time we've ever had a run-in. So, you race and you play in the same ball field with somebody, it's inevitable you're going to hit them, right? So that was, unfortunately, the one time that him and I run into each other.
Right. Why did he get so mad?
When he clapped at me?
Yeah,
He was clapping at me because he didn't know that I got run into. So this was the story. There's 2 people that I really don't want to wreck, and Bubba's on that list. Joey's another one I don't want, because I was in Joey's wedding, me and him are buds, me and Bubba are buds. So there's 2 guys, if I wreck, whether it be accidental, I feel bad about it, right? So I get out of the car, I'm in the rental car, head to the airport, call Bubba. Obviously, he went straight to voicemail. He don't want to talk to me. He's been, loaded up for the last 3 hours. And I'm like, hey, man, dude, I'm so sorry. I guess I just cooked it in there and got a little loose and got into you. Sorry, bro. I'll talk, have a good off season. I'll talk to you here later on. We'll go get a beer and, hash it out.
Right.
So I get off, I hung up, I'm scrolling through Twitter, and I see the replay, and Ricky Stenhouse got in my left rear right before I got into Bubba. So if Ricky hadn't got into me first, I wouldn't have wrecked Bubba.
Right.
So I called Bubba right back. Hey, man, forget about that voicemail I just sent, because that was Ricky's fault. I feel bad I wrecked him, but if I hadn't got hit, then Bubba wouldn't have got crashed.
And that's racing.
It's racing, bro.
Let me fact check you on this show. You're a NASCAR expert. Whose fault was it?
Hang on.
Definitely Stenhouse.
Hang
it
on.
was.
He's the NASCAR expert of this
That
show.
Damn right.
Hold on a
You
second.
looking at him,
Jesus.
Corey. We stacking nickels now.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's what we're trying to do. We're still pennies for the time.
No. Why you're talking about Joey and Bubba, you say you don't want to wreck them. Mm-hmm. Is it a disadvantage to have friends on the track?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Joey even told me straight up, he was like, shoot, if we start racing together, I can't freaking hang out with you. I got a pretty good Joey.
Keep going.
You know, because like he legitimately, it's like he's not gonna have me over at his house grilling burgers on a Wednesday and then like rubbing fenders on a Sunday afternoon. Like that's just, some people can separate it, some guys not. And he's been racing for wins and championships his whole career. Like I've been on the bottom trying to come up the other way. Right. So I haven't got to race wheel to wheel with Kyle Busch or, you know, I raced Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Bubba, Daniel Suarez and these guys growing up. But once they got hooked up with Hendrick or wherever they went, like their career shot. And my career kind of stalled out. And then it was just a grind. Completely got all the driving opportunities dried up. Went to crew chief for some guys, flying out to Bakersfield, California every other week, and then got lucky and hit on a little bit of a partnership and got back going and kind of like recreated my career when I was like 22. So like that took like a 3-year hiatus because I just didn't have an opportunity to drive.
Talk to me about that. When I was at UCF, Mike Sims-Walker, Andre Sumter, my roommates, all wide receivers. We were in the dorms together. And, you know, freshmen, sophomores, we sit there and it was just like, that was it. How we're gonna take care of families, the dream that we had. And anyways, Dre blew out his knee, right? So now you have 2008, 2009, 2010, you have myself and Mike Sims-Walker in the NFL. You know, we made it.
Yeah.
Dre didn't make it. And this is like our brother, right? We did everything together. So we made it, and I never forget this moment where, you know, Mike and I got into it. And this is right before I went to McLean Hospital. I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. And basically it's an emotional disorder, being able to self-regulate, deal with the stress, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So Mike and I, we were training one day, and we're sitting on the field, and he was like, man, you need help, you need help, you need help. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? And we're literally working out, but arguing the whole time, okay? Fast forward, he goes to Orlando, I stay in Fort Lauderdale, I'm in this 17,000 square foot home, in the theater room. I'm like, I gotta call this dude.
You're
this is
balling.
my brother. Yeah, I'm balling. Just signed a big deal. My teammate down there, they brought me down, the Dolphins brought me down.
He had money, Corey.
I had a lot of money, still had a lot of money. But I was sitting in this theater room, bro. I was like, let me call Mike. I talked to Mike. I was like, yo, I'm coming up to Orlando. We need to talk about this. We're brothers. So anyways, we get to Mike's apartment in Orlando, and Andre Sumter, Dre, Snoop, our other roommate, he's there. I'm thinking he's gonna be the mediator. So I'm talking to Mike, and he and I getting after it. Going back and forth. And then Dre chimes in. He's like, I feel like y'all left me behind.
That's tough.
He said, I feel like y'all made it to the NFL, y'all did this, y'all did that. We had no clue what was going on with him. So when you talk about Logono, you talk about Bubba, you talk about Danny and all those other guys, how did you feel when you saw them excel and go sign with Hendricks, right? And now you're sitting here, I'm the crew chief.
Yeah. Well, and it wasn't even so much that, like, human nature's, you're certainly jealous about it, right? But that doesn't help you overcome anything. I mean, I was in the ESPN Next magazine with Kyrie Irving. Like, Kyrie Irving, when he was coming out of Duke, 9-10, he was on the cover, and I was the third page in as the next NASCAR guy. Like, I thought I had the world by the... Just signed a deal with Richard Petty Motorsports, 5-year contract, laid it all out. You're gonna run Xfinity this year, you're gonna run, you know, XX and X, you're gonna run Cup Series and be making, you know, $3 million by the time you're 21. I'm like, it's easy,
right.
You know? One thing leads to another, start doing too much behind the wheel of a car. One of the opportunities that they gave me, trying to make a 15th place car, a 10th place car, and it's just not practical. So I was starting to overdrive, started to really get inside my own head of just confidence. And all the driving opportunities dried up. More or less, Richard Petty was like, man, we don't really have a spot for you. This guy come in and bought the Xfinity car that we were gonna put you in. So, like, sorry about your bad luck. That's the direction we're going. So I went from looking at a 5-year deal to be a Cup driver to not having anything. So I fell back to what I kind of knew, what kind of got me there is just working on my own cars, and through some mutual connections, I was like, I gotta pay some bills here. You know, I just bought a townhouse, So the only decent deal was flying to Bakersfield, California. We'd set the car up. We'd go to Sonoma. We'd go this place, that place. And I started having some success on that side with the radio. And I even turned down, so funny story, Jimmie Johnson was watching a race, like a tape delayed race at like 2 o'clock in the morning, couldn't sleep. And the guy who won, I was crew chiefing for. And they interviewed me after the race, like, the race winning crew chief, Corey Lajoie, like, what do you think? Oh, you know, car was good today, right? Dave did a great job. And Jimmy's like, what? You were just driving a year and a half ago. Why are you in Evergreen, Washington, crew chief in a Cannon West car? I'm like, dude, I got to pay the bills. I don't have anything driving. So he's like, man, you want to come over to like Hendrick and get in the system, be a car chief, and eventually like maybe be a crew chief on the Cup side? I was like, I guess, you know? So he gives me Chad's number, and I called Chad up. Hey, Jimmy gave me your number. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. And he's like, you want to come work? And he's like, if you come work, you can't drive. Like, once you're on this side of it, there's no chance for you to go back. And I was like, well, let me think about it. And it's like, I couldn't give it up. I don't know if there was like a little sliver of getting some hope to potentially drive again, but I'm probably one of the only guys in history to tell Chad Knaus I don't want to work for him. You know,
Very Chad Knaus-like comment.
Right.
Yeah, and he's like the 7-time crew chief champion. So told him no because I still wanted to live the dream, and got lucky, and the snowball started rolling down the hill, and it's still rolling down the hill, but slowly going back up the hill.
I love it.
It's been a lot of fun.
I love it, bro. I'm glad you made that decision.
Yeah, and you kind of touched on it a bit ago, and I want to bring it back. Like, I didn't realize like the mental health piece and just like how much being a professional athlete is as much mental as it is physical ability. And when I first started I got into the Cup Series at literally the bottom of the barrel. The slowest cars, outdated, no tier of an engine program. And it's like, okay, you are literally driving the slowest car at the racetrack. No matter if Kyle Larson's driving this thing, it might be second to last slowest car at the racetrack, but you're still gonna be the slowest guy at the racetrack. And I had like this, my dad was a 2-time Xfinity Series champion. And you know, he was the tough love, right? If it ain't good, like figure out how to fix it. If you're not going fast enough, just drive a little harder. And I had like Randy LaJoie in my brain, like, well, if you're 30th, well, that car definitely could be 28th, like drive a little harder. Stuffed, right? Like,
Right.
And I had to figure out, and it got to the point it was so bad the first year in the Cup Series, I was like 7 or 8 weeks in. I'm like, do I even know how to even shift a damn transmission at this point? Like, I have to be the worst race car driver in history of the planet.
Right.
So I started seeing a sports psychologist. I always thought that was like taboo. Like, you should be able to figure your own stuff out, right? Be a man, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. So we started meeting with a sports psychologist who was working with Charlotte 49ers at the time. And I just realized I was burned out. 7 weeks into what I worked my entire life to get to. I'm burned out, not motivated, dreading to go to the racetrack, hating life.
Right. Wow.
Making the most amount of money I've ever made in my life, driving in front of hundreds of thousands of people, right? But not in the context that I had originally envisioned it. So we had to figure out tangible like wins throughout the weekend, stuff that no matter how slow of a car you're driving, you could succeed, whether it be like pit road rolling speed, positive position retentions on restarts. There was like 5 or 6 things that nobody outside of the sports psychologist and me gave a shit about, but it was like a penny, right? And you stack 1 penny on the table. And then if I can go to the pit road rolling speeds and see that I'm in the top 10, another penny on the stack. And that was like things that I could tangibly say.
So before you go there, because you talked about your podcast, Stacking Pennies.
Yeah.
So did that term come from your sports psychologist, and that's how you got to?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was kind of like just a internal thing that her and I just was like, all right, how many pennies we stacked this weekend? Well, I was 8th on pit road rolling speed. I had a positive restart retention. I didn't speed on pit road. I didn't cuss on the radio. Like, even little stuff like that was a penalty.
Well,
like,
can you continue to curse on the radio? Because like Radioactive is one of my favorite shows.
Yeah, but little kids listen, man. I don't want to be the
That's
guy in
true,
there
that's
cussing.
true.
Like, I'll let Kurt Busch do that. Yeah. They do enough for everybody.
All right, I respect that.
They do enough for everybody.
But can we just can we ask
I
NASCAR
say
to
some good
potentially
stuff.
He does.
not let the kids listen to that because
Like a after late
late night after
late
dark.
night like a HBO Max radio channel.
No, we need that. We need you and Kyle Busch. Yeah, doing that. All right, but go ahead, finish.
So over the course of the year, we were stacking pennies, and it's like stuff that my owner didn't know about, stuff that my crew chief didn't know about, but it was like these little areas where, you know, the guys that win races are always trying to hit. You know, you can't give up speed on pit road. Rocko, you know, like your pit road rolling speed is just as important as your pit stop time. So all that stuff adds up, and it's like these little things now that I'm at Spire Motorsports, we get a little bit faster car, and those pennies that I've learned and just made habitual have turned our 21st place car days into 15th, you know, and it's like, cause you're getting those little areas where people are lax on, and that's kind of been a motto. We started putting that on social media, like, finish 21st today, stack some pennies, hashtag stacking pennies. And the fans started like, oh, like that's kind of what it is. And it really and truly started with just ways to figure out how to stay motivated and to not get burned out and you know, keep the fire burning of what I love to do.
Wow, so there's a couple things that came up. The stacking pennies. When I was playing for the Chicago Bears, this is when I was trying to figure it out. You know, Chan can tell you, right, like he's seen both sides where I was struggling or surviving and then also this side now thriving, right? And maybe sometimes he may say I'm still struggling. But
he ain't struggling.
When I got so 2011, 2012, I was traded to the Miami Dolphins from the Denver Broncos. And so the first year when we played together, I was like struggling, right? I was barely surviving. And in the second year,
talking about mentally. We ain't talking about money, just mentally. You were talking about just the stress, the pressure of what this puts on you when you do have these big contracts and have to perform for. You know, us was we were the owners and the coaches and all. You have sponsors, you have owners, you have all that.
Yeah.
And the bank accounts were nice, but I knew as my homeboy, just seeing him on a daily basis, I was like, he's mentally somewhere else.
It's a lot to wrestle with, bro. Especially the expectations you put for yourself or everybody else has on you.
That's right. And then how do you deal with those emotions? How do you manage that stuff? Because it's a lot. And so, you know, 2011, I was struggling a lot. And then in between 2011 and 2012, it was the year of lockout, so I went to McLean Hospital, and I learned so much. But anyways, I came back in 2012, played that year out. I was just a different cat. I remember one coach asked me, Brandon, are you on medicine? I was like, no, I'm not on medicine. They just saw a different person. That was Coach Nolan, your defensive coordinator. Mike Nolan walked up to me one day. He was like, Brandon, are you on medicine? Because I was sitting at the 50-yard line, and anytime the defense was out there, I would start gazing. And gazing is a form of meditation and also concentration. So like they'll be going back and forth, big hit, boom, and I would never break concentration. I would just find a point on the other side of the field and I would just lock in. And so I would take those moments to like work on my concentration. And everybody thought I was weird and awkward, right? Because it's like counterculture to football. And I was like, no, but this is me. Like I was reading books now, I was meditating, I was doing all kinds. We had Ricky on the team, I was learning from Ricky Williams. And so anyways, I get to Chicago, and I'm still now like the pressure and like I want to perform. I got another big contract, and I'm one of the top football players in the NFL, whatever. And so when you talk about stacking pennies, one of the things that we realized was like I was struggling in the games. And my sports psychologist said, between every drive, so whether it's 6-play drive, 12-play drive, I want you to take a journal, and then when you come off the field, I want you to write down all the positive. So after every drive, whether good or bad out, before I talk to Jay Cutler, the quarterback, or the offensive coordinator, I pull out my journal and I would just journal. Drop a ball in front of 70,000 cheering fans, 3 million people tuned in live. I would write down, awesome route. My break at the top, in and out, boom. That was a stacking a penny.
Yeah.
My body language, how I ran back to the sideline, right? How I interact with the quarterback, what I said to the coach, boom. But it was a bad play to everybody else in the world, but to me, I was like, this is awesome. That's stacking pennies, bro. I relate to that.
Yeah.
And people don't understand like those little details with that, how that goes a long way in the mindset that you have to have as an athlete.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's like, I look at Tom Brady, for example, and like that guy didn't get to where he's at just by one big step. You know, it's like all them little steps getting up that mountain. And that's how I'm looking at approaching my NASCAR career as a whole. It's like, I'm not getting from where I started crashing cars every other week, you know, being a dummy, not respecting people, or, you know, all the stuff you get when you're immature and you feel like you're owed something. But getting humbled multiple rungs and like having to rebuild it from the start, it's like one step at a time to get ultimately where I want to go. I don't know where the top of that is, but I'm content with what I'm doing now. I'm having a lot of fun, and I can truly say that, like, I love what I do now. I'm not running considerably better than I was when I first started, but now I just appreciated it, and I love finding them small victories each and every week.
Both of y'all talk about the stacking pennies. Now, this is interesting to me because I never had that, like, that mental health thing, you know what I'm saying? I drank and partied. I don't know.
He don't. He masking something.
I was gonna say
He is
that.
masking something.
No. I got partied every night. I drank every night. I had a number of beautiful girlfriends. I don't know if that covered up, but B, like, a thing between us is that the day that he was gonna tell the world that he was
borderline
personality disorder, he told myself, who was it, me, Ronnie,
Carlos Dansby,
and Los, Sleazy, Carlos Dansby. He told us in the lunchroom, after he told us that he's gonna tell the world that the Dolphins cut me. And after they cut me, once he came out, I went home. I rode to my house, was like a mile away from the facility, and I watched him tell the world that. And I texted him, I was like, bro, that's big time. That's gonna help a lot of people, what you just did. And you text me back, man, you just lost your job. Why are you texting me about that? I was like, bro, my job is not as important to the world as what you just did.
Right.
That's real.
And so that mental frame of stacking pennies, and I had a question about, like, why is the podcast named that? But that's what it is. Did you name it that to help people? Did you, like, is it subconsciously to help people? Like, why is the name of that?
That was like a brand that kind of just took some traction of its own. You know, it's like on post-race tweet, I would just hashtag stacking pennies, and people started, like, applying that to their everyday life, you know, whether that's getting up early, not hitting the snooze button. Like, there's pennies in your life, there's pennies in your career, there's pennies in your marriage, like, all over the place that, you know, how often you walk past pennies every day.
Pick it up.
If you picked up all them pennies you walked by, with inflation, you probably wouldn't be able to buy too much right now. But, like, you still have more money than if you would have not picked it up at all, right? It's just, I think, trying to pay attention to the details and the small things, because they're so easy to overlook, but those are where the progress is made, whether that's mentally, just, and maybe even just showing, so, like, the people that are watching you that you might not even know are watching you, try to do the right thing. Like, that's why I named the podcast that. It wasn't like to make this big push in mental health, even though that's where it came from. Like, I don't necessarily lead with it, but I do, like, I'm fairly open to talk about it because that's where it came from. Like, it came from me hating my life of what I dreamed of trying to be since I was 9 years old.
Right.
And just by figuring out the small victories in my career allowed me to just appreciate my entire life more.
Right.
So, I mean, it's a lot deeper when you start digging up. I've probably never dug into it this deep before, but that's really where it comes from.
So let me ask you a question, because, like, there's a few people in NASCAR that was like, yo, we got to connect you two. And is the mental health connection between us?
Maybe. Or maybe we're just the coolest guys in the sport.
I would say so, because now that you say that about stacking pennies, in the motorsports, that's what you do. And those are championship characteristic traits right there, and you're setting yourself up for that.
Well, it's like I knew, you know, 5 years from now, if I didn't take the small things serious, if I didn't get better at those small things, I would never get the call to drive for a Rick or a Joe or a Roger, you know, the guys that have elite organizations, because I wasn't capable. I didn't have the mindset. I'll be honest, I don't have the natural ability, but I do have the work ethic to bear down and get after it.
Why would you say that?
I'm not Kyle. Like, there's only like one generational guy. Like, Kyle Larson's that guy. He did beat me by 6 points in the K&N championship. So, like, I've ran wheel to wheel with him, but he is a phenomenal guy.
Let's break that down.
Hang on.
Go ahead.
But there ain't nobody on a Sunday afternoon I don't think that I can beat car for car.
I'm about to say, man.
But hold on. But this whole Kyle Larson thing, because we've been trying to figure out what's this it in NASCAR. Because everybody keep talking about Kyle Larson.
Guys about the it.
Right. Like,
that's what people call
what is it? Is it that, or is it just he has the team that's behind him?
Well, now he has a team. You know, people have recognized Kyle's ability for the last multiple years. He's the most versatile. He races the most out of all the Cup Series guys. He goes and races a midget. He's probably racing a midget as we speak at the moment, like literally. Like he loves to race. We all love to race, but he literally like loves it. Would be racing every night if he had the opportunity to. Like, I like hanging out with my kids and watching movies on the couch. Like, I guess the it factor being his brain and really and truly his butt are so in tune with the feedback the car and the vehicle's giving him, it's instinctual for him to find that little morsel of grip that I might be, leaving 0.005% of grip on the table, not driving that tire to its max slip angle, not leaning on the door as much as the aerodynamics can take it. Like Larson is going to the marginal razor edge every lap.
Right.
But just because he has seat time, he's got the natural ability, he's got the desire, and now he's with the best team in NASCAR, right? He won 6 times in 5 years at Ganassi, which people will recognize, like, this guy's got it. Get him with Hendrick, the best team, and he wins 10 races in 1 year. So, like, you have to have both. You can't have the best team with a mediocre guy, you're not gonna be that successful. But when you put the most motivated guy, obviously he got knocked down a couple rungs on the humility scale over the last 16 months. So he was primed, he was motivated, and he got up on the wheel and got after it.
Explain the butt that you were saying, the booty feel.
Right.
They don't know what that means. They're football.
Went, like, it's not like it's as much seeing it with your eyes as it is feeling with your butt how much yaw this car's got, how much pitch it's got, how much heave it's got.
Lamborghini. When you're in a Lamborghini, it's low, right?
Right.
When you're in an SUV, it's high.
Right.
When you're in that Lamborghini, you go over that speed bump, you feel it in your butt, don't you?
Yes, right.
When you turn in on it, you feel it in your butt because you're low to the ground. That feeling will make you a lot of money in NASCAR because you can learn how that car is handling, communicate it to the crew chief, can adjust the car to what you want, and you can run the car faster. Wow. If you can't feel that, communicate it to the crew chief, to your team, they can't give you what you need to run the car faster. But if you can, then...
That's a great way to put it.
Let me ask both of you guys this question. Because, like, we're learning NASCAR. Yeah. So when we turn on Fox or NBC, we see guys going left with how Chan liked to say it. When Chan came out to the track for the first time,
left.
Like, oh, shit, I like that. How do you capture that? You know what I mean? Like, because in football, you can see strategy, this guy matched up versus this guy. So how do you capture that in NASCAR? Because it's not just guys just going left. There's so much more to it.
We just upstairs were talking about coverages in football. Just randomly, we had some time. And to your point, like, when you were talking about that Larson can push it to that last 5%.
Not even 5%. It's 0.5%.
0.5%.
Which is the yard for us.
That gave me chills. Like to think about football where you know
where that edge is.
You can jump that. There's only so many people that can jump that route.
Yeah.
Like,
that's
the explanation of that. I think is big for new fans like us.
It's almost like Chan. It's like the quarterback for a defender. You guys say said like Peyton Manning. Everybody noticed it was famous, right? Turned into a brand. Omaha, Rocko.
Yeah.
Right? So when you get Peyton Manning's cadence down, then you have Von Miller on the other side before he got to Denver when he's playing in Indy. When they're going against each other, Von Miller is off. Now the tackle is a half a second behind. So he says, Omaha, Rocko. Boom, that just little bit disrupts the whole game because now Von Miller has 2 sacks, and that's the difference in winning or losing, right? Now you got lost yardage, right? So now you got Von Miller, you got Dwight Freeney, you have all these great defensive ends and linebackers where they're sitting up there and they're like, they'll say, hey, coach, like, let me get the TV copy. This is the edge. ESPN, I want to hear ESPN, I want to hear CBS copy. So now you hear the game version. Now you can hear what Peyton Manning's saying. So they're hearing it, and they just, Omaha, Rocko. And so now they're like, okay, jump, right? That's what how do we capture that in NASCAR, right? Like isn't that the edge, though?
That's the exact thing I was asking.
Right.
Like that thing.
Y'all
call it, I don't know if y'all call it, I don't know, the butt feel, like that thing.
When you guys watch a race, whether it be in person or on the broadcast, what makes you guys fans or what makes you guys intrigued to watch it?
Right. So because I went to the track first, now I understand more.
Yeah.
And I was able to sit in Bubba's pit box. I was able to sit in in Kyle Busch's pit box. So like I was able to hear the engines.
Yeah.
So that sounds different in person than it does.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like that's my wife and I's favorite part is like drivers start your engines and then like boom, that shit. And you can feel that wind coming by. Right? So like when I watch it, I feel it, I can understand it.
Have you been there with the headset on where you can hear the radio transmissions and all that?
Yes, that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like when I'm at the track, it's a different experience.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you fall in love with it.
Yeah.
Because like I don't give a damn if you drive a Toyota Camry or if you drive a dang on Kia, Sophia, whatever, if you like a car, but if you're in the cars, if you go out to the track and you feel that, you see the guys in the garage and you see what they're doing before and they're driving it through the tunnel to make sure you pass inspections. It's like, this stuff is crazy, but that's what you can't capture on TV. So it's like, to me, it's the entire experience.
Yeah, that's like stuff that the Fox and NBC has a hard time to do because they have to cover the surface area, details of the race, right? This is the guy who's leading, this is the point structure. There's too many storylines for the broadcast to really dig into. That's why all the other side projects that NASCAR does, stuff like this, they can like give some life to the stacking pennies, to a smaller team as to what we're trying to do. So does the broadcast need to get a little more technical to show that Kyle Larson's getting that extra half a degree of, right front slip angle, if he's getting to pit road 0.3 of a second faster on a green flag stop? Like, yes, but I think they do have to cater to the more of a broad fan as opposed to the technical side.
Correct. But and also you said something interesting because like we're a lot alike. You know what we have in common as football players to drivers?
Hit me.
Helmets.
Yeah.
Right? So like we know Kevin Durant. We know James Harden. We know Steph Curry.
Yeah.
But you guys wear these helmets, right?
Yeah.
So it's like in basketball, we fall in love with the athlete and not necessarily the teams and the leagues. Like I'm a Michael Jordan fan, I'm a Larry Bird fan.
Yeah.
In football, it's the same thing. There's only a couple guys that break through, and usually they're quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? But you'd be surprised. Adrian Peterson or even Channing or I walk through the airport and like, oh, you're Channing Crowder, you're Brandon Marshall, because they see us with our helmet on 90% of the time.
Well, you're also 6'6" and 255.
Right, I know, man, they always say that. Here's what I always say. We just had it today.
Corey hit him and see what happens.
But this is what they say right in the airport. Are you an athlete? I'm like, I'm just another black man that's called. Why I gotta be just an athlete? But anyways, but here's what I'm saying though, is like, we have to do a great job in these helmet sports, whether it's hockey, NASCAR, football, taking the helmet off and actually fall in love with the person. But right now, like, we're getting to know you.
Yeah.
And so now that me talking to you now, when I'm watching the race, I'm leaning in like, damn, okay, I know Bubba, I know Kyle. You know what I'm saying?
You got a horse in the race.
Correct.
Yeah.
We know the storylines, we know the personality. It's not just NASCAR.
I think that's why NASCAR's great in so many areas because you could be a Jeff Gordon fan growing up, right? Your dad watched it or whatever, and you rooted for the Rainbow 24 DuPont car, right? Growing up, just because Jeff was winning a lot. Well, when Jeff retires and then Chase Elliott comes in, like you're naturally going to gravitate because the brand of that car already has some equity in it. Now Chase, right, has some equity. Granted, he's had a super successful career already. You could either be a 24 fan because he originally drove that car. I mean, you worked over there, Rocko. You know, like that 24 is a brand in itself, let alone who's driving it. That 48 was a brand with Jimmie Johnson before Alex Bowman was driving it. But the cars have their own equity of a brand, and the drivers obviously have their own. So when you combine the two, it can make for some really great things. But also, like the drivers' brands individually can really go as far as whatever effort you want to put in.
Before you go, Chan, I also think this. Right? And I'm not talking to you like you're Steve Phelps, like you're the president and shit. But it's like, I truly believe the pit crew, their brands as well.
Yeah.
Because like, to me, those are big moments. Where it's like, can they get out within under 12 seconds, right? Or is it 12.5? What is it? And so like, if I'm falling in love with, whether it's Edwards or even the old school Rocko, like then I'm in tune, right?
Yeah.
That's a big moment. Like, can we get out?
So at that point, my best buddy, Ryan Flores, changes fronts for Brad Keselowski. He's on the podcast. He's like our pit road analyst. Ryan has his own story. Comes from New Jersey, right? Like, came from nothing. Now he's working for a championship organization. crushing it, you know? So like having his story told, to your point, is super important, because then you start pulling for Brad because you know the front tire changer, you know, just because you want them guys to run to do well. So I know you've been sitting there pent up for 5 minutes.
Oh no, it wasn't pent up, but no, like as you were talking about, you know, the attraction of it and all that. Like we text now, and B will text me, Bubba's in 11th. You know, Rowdy's in 3rd. Like, we text about it, and that's what we follow the guys we know. Yeah. And now knowing you, like, whenever you race, we'll text and we're going to talk about, you know, like, hey, Corey's in 11, you know, turn it on.
I like that.
That's what we do now, but it only started less than a year ago. Right. And we know the guys. But Jimmie Johnson, in 2019, he was retiring. I heard a story about you.
Hold on about Jimmie Johnson, though. But Jimmie Johnson is powerful.
He's the best.
He's a 7-time champion.
He's the best.
Jimmie made enemies. He was so good. And I didn't understand that about NASCAR, because people just got tired of him winning. I like to compare Jimmie Johnson to Keanu Reeves.
Wow.
I don't know what that means.
You know, just... Dude, what's
can
up?
dodge bullets
Laid
like
back,
no problem.
You know, just chill. Nothing will get Jimmie rattled.
And also, Jimmie Johnson was an athlete that transcended his sports.
Yes.
The Peyton Mannings, the Tom Brady's, the Michael Jordans, the LeBron James, just different, right? So Jimmie Johnson's a dog.
Well,
but hold on a second.
Yeah. But Jimmie was big. He's retiring.
Yeah.
I heard that you wrote a letter to Hendricks and delivered it by hand.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right over here at the Hall of Fame.
But that story about Jimmie Johnson retiring, you wanting to take over 48.
Yeah. I'll back up like 3 steps from that story.
Please do. Because this is important for us.
So when Jimmie started driving in Busch Series back then, like my dad was the elder guy, like he was the successful guy. So he kind of took Jimmie under his wing. Hey, turn 3 at Kentucky's flat and you'll bust your ass. Like little stuff like that, right? So when I started racing, Jimmie was texting Dad, hey, tell Corey, open his entry up, right? The track's gonna tighten up at night when the sun goes down, like all these little things. So him and I started hitting off a fairly good friendship, right? He's probably at that point in time when we started really getting close, he was probably 4 or 5-time champ. We'd go riding mountain bikes and we'd do all this stuff. And that first Cup deal I was trying to get to, there was no reason I was qualified to drive that car. Like I might have had 6 or 7 development races before that. Like I probably wasn't even certified to go, right? Like I had a little bit of competitive stock from what people thought I could potentially do in the right situation. And I was like the squeaky wheel for the guy that owned that car, Ron Devine. And I'm calling Ron every day. Ron, please let me drive that car. I don't know, big guy, you know, I got this guy or that guy. No, this is like where the Stacking Pennies come from. Like I just want to drive the shittiest car on the grid. You know what I mean? Like I gotta get into the show. Put me in, coach, I'm ready to rock. Yeah. Kind of like in Days of Thunder, like let me drive, I won't make a fool out of you. You know what I mean? Like straight up stuff like that. Right. And I'm getting nowhere. Like 3 weeks, I'm texting him, hey sir, please let me drive your car. I promise I won't wreck it. You know, stuff like that.
Right.
And it finally got to the point, I thought he was leaning another direction on a guy with a little bit of money. And Jimmie just won a 7th championship. And I was like, I'm gonna throw a Hail Mary here. So I called Jimmie, I said, yo man, I need some help. Like I'm trying to get into this car. I think it's my only option. Maybe if a call from the 7-time champ brings this owner and you put in the good word for me, maybe you can maybe it'll persuade him, who knows? So he's like, send me his number. So he was on the ski lift in Aspen on the way up to go ski, calls Ron, they talked for like 45 minutes. Ron calls me up, hey, big guy, if the 7-time champ thinks you're good enough for me. So I jump in that car. It was originally a 1-race deal. We qualified for the Daytona 500, and then that 1-race deal turned into a full-time season. But so that was kind of like the first influential moment that Jimmie had in my life. Wow. And then he helped me throughout the course of my career. Like Jimmie was the epitome of a race car driver and a human being in my book. Like that guy hung the moon. So when Jimmie announces he's retiring at the end of the year, right, I'm like, it's a long shot because I'm still, you know.
But Jimmie Johnson, he's one of the faces of NASCAR.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Legend, Hall of Famer.
Top 3 greatest drivers of all time.
Facts.
Easy.
Yeah.
So like the Peyton Mannings of our world, the Joe Montanas, the Tom Brady's of the world, like the Michael Jordans.
The ones that have elevated themselves above the rest.
So,
right? He's in there. So he's retiring, and I'm like, I know it's a long shot, right? There's a list of 78 guys in front of me that should be in this car, but how can I make myself stand out without making myself look like him? Right. who knows? Rick Hendrick, of all people, could take a shot on somebody like me.
Right.
Shoot your shot.
He's like, I don't know, like, go talk to him. I'm like,
Jimmie.
that's a good idea. Yeah.
Jimmie says
Jimmie told you that?
Yeah. Yeah, and my dad drove for Rick for 4 or 5 races, filled in for a guy that got hurt. So like, there's a little bit of relationship there, right? So he kind of knows me since I was a little kid. But the point being is, I got this idea. I'm like, what if I just wrote like, when's the last time you got a handwritten letter from somebody? Right. Like my wife's like, why don't you just like write them like a note, like, hey, let me drive your car, like P.S. Like I will do good, And I legitimately wrote out, like, it took me 3 weeks. Draft number 1. Wow. Rip it out. Okay, these are some, like, I legitimately wrote out a letter, folded that sucker up like I'm in Hamilton, tuck it in a suit jacket. I had a suit on because
going up to
we're
Mr.
at the Hall of Fame.
Hendricks.
Yeah, he's got a couple people around him. Like, Mr. H, I just read this when you get a minute.
Here you go. Here you go.
Yeah.
Show us.
So you walked up to
Mr. H. You see yours.
Rick Hendrick.
Yeah, it was like this.
It was like this. Okay, show us.
Mr. H, I know you're a busy man, but just take a look at that when you get a chance.
Right.
And he was like, thanks, young man. Now, moral of the story is he didn't hire me because I'm driving for Spire Motorsports, but I was nervous, bro.
Dude.
But, I mean.
Hold on, time out. This is a big moment for us.
Yeah.
Not for you, but for us.
Why?
Because as we dove into your story, we're like, oh my goodness, we love it. We love the hustle, we love all of that.
Yeah.
But for you to think that you're going to get car 48.
No, I knew I wasn't going to get it, but I knew I definitely wouldn't get it if I didn't do nothing about it.
Ooh, okay. Okay, now you just put me right. Okay.
Closed mouth.
Hey.
Closed mouth don't get fed.
Hey.
That's it, man.
Hey, look, he said, I'm at Spire Motorsports now. Who builds your engines,
Yeah,
Corey?
we run Hendrick Motor.
Who builds your engines? Who's helping out with your chassis, Corey?
And we get
Hendrick Motorsports
Hendrick Pit Crew.
So he's a y'all don't understand what this means.
Yeah.
He said he's running for Spire, but smaller teams need help from your affluent teams, right?
Right.
So some teams, your top teams are only allowed 4 cars. That's it. Hendrick has his 4, right? How do you kind of get above that? You have satellite teams. Satellite teams are teams that you aid and help, and they help you with research and data.
Yep.
So Spire is the satellite team for Hendrick. Corey does drive for Hendrick Motorsports.
Ooh, so it may have came back and helped him.
That letter.
Didn't hurt.
But see, you didn't tell us this in the green room because we were ready to set you up.
It's the CTE.
All this is about a
It's the
setup.
CTE.
Because we sit here thinking like, Corey think he can go up to Hendricks, Mr. H, and deliver a letter.
Yeah.
2019, Jimmie Johnson, the Peyton Manning of the sport.
Yeah.
The Drew Brees of the sport.
I'm going to jump in 48.
Here you go,
hey,
Mr. H.
That's the story.
Hey, Mr. H.
Yeah, that was
I deserve to drive the 48.
No, I knew I didn't. I deserve that.
But I like how y'all flipped it back on us. We thought we were going to mess with you. But
You think I'm mad? You're the. I am one of the, I'm self-aware in where I'm at. I know that I was the longest of the long shot, but I do know that it was a no shot if I didn't hand in that letter.
This is crazy. You're thinking like this, Corey. I'm a pit crew. I was a fan. And I would have thought that you had all the confidence in the world. You had the talent in the world. You were fast-tracked. And you're telling me you weren't ready for that car, but they put you in that car, and you didn't. That was a successful season.
Yeah.
That was.
Well, they've all been a successful season. Some have just been more successful than others.
Sports psychology.
Yeah.
Man,
it's like,
dude, you were nice with it.
And I look back. I don't even look back because I think I'm right in the thick of it. I'm 30 years old and healthy as I've ever been.
Yep.
And you think about it. I'm gonna look back on them days where I was getting paid little money, driving the worst cars on the grid, and be like, those were the good old days. Learning with no expectations, no eyeballs, no fans, so they don't. If I wreck, nobody really cares, good or bad. It's like, oh yeah, it's like you're kind of expected to. So I was in a position where I could learn and grow the sport, grow myself within the sport with no expectations and no pressure. And now, I feel like I'm ready with my ability behind the wheel, abilities with the media, abilities with the engaging with the fans on social media. I wasn't ready 3 years ago, but I've gotten ready over the last couple of years.
And I've learned, because we just got it. I'm about a year in now to NASCAR and learning. It's more than just driving skill. And then knowing your story, knowing your grandfather drove, knowing your dad drove, and that you could see and learn from them and figure it out. You call it messy, B. Who's the best Lajoie?
Ooh, want to get messy? Let's get
I don't
messy.
know. You got to call your granddaddy and daddy. I wouldn't want to do it. My dad played in the NFL as well, and I believe I'm better than my dad.
I'm better
and
than
we
my
argue
dad.
all the time.
Yeah, I'm better than my dad, too.
You better than your granddad?
And he'll say that. Don Lajoie is pretty good, man. Now, he raced late 60s to early 80s. You could be like a weekend guy, a hobby guy. You can go to your local track. He was from Connecticut. And he can go to Danbury Fairgrounds and make $1,500 a weekend in 1968 if he won the race. So he didn't need to go pursue NASCAR because the money wasn't there, right? So he was working a job 5 days a week, go race on the weekends with his buddies, make a couple grand. He won like 7 or 8 championships. Like Don Lajoie was where it was at, but there was really no reason to pursue a traveling circuit because you're going away from your family, you're not making that much more money. So he never really pursued that. But from what I read and what I see, some old videos of Don Lajoie, he was pretty good. But I'd like to think that, I put a lot of work in to try to get
Just say we like to get messy on the show sometimes. Look in the camera and tell your dad, say, Dad, I'll kick your ass.
Oh, Dad already knows I'll kick his ass.
What about Grandpa? What about Don?
Yeah, I don't know. Hey, head-to-head with Don Lajoie in his prime, I don't know. He'd probably wreck me. He shows no mercy, man. He still works.
To you and your dad. What does Don look like?
My dad's 6'1" as well. We're all very similar build. My grandfather's got some big old mitts on him. So yeah, if I wrecked him in that head-to-head race, I'm like looking for guys like Brandon my size, like, yo, come on, like I need some backup. My grandfather he's 83 years old and says he works half days because he gets up at 6, works from 6 to 6. So he says he works half days.
Right.
So I can't keep up with that. So, but yeah, when it comes behind the wheel, like I'd beat Don and Randy pretty sure.
Right. I love it. What we missed, bro?
Newman.
Oh, when I smoked his ass.
Go ahead.
No. The crash and mentally, y'all talking about mental health and all that stuff. Like,
yeah, I wasn't.
Did that mess you up?
No, not really. Maybe not as much as somebody expected because you know the assumed risk when you pull the belts tight. Ryan knows the risks. He's been doing it his whole career. I know the risks. My wife might not love the risks as I assume, but when I put the chin strap on, you know the deal. You know what could happen.
Yeah.
That's why you love to do it just as much. So, when it happened like that.
Does anybody have anything left for the race leader? Ryan Newman off turn 4. Checkered flag is waving. Who will get here first? Newman down. Oh, he's going to get turned. Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin across the line. Newman slipping across the start-finish line. A violent crash right short of the start-finish line. Ryan Newman's car got turned head-on into the outside safer barrier. Car went straight up into the air, flipped wildly. When it was coming back down to earth, it was absolutely tattooed.
Safety has come a long way in this sport, but sometimes we are reminded that it is a very dangerous sport, and we just thoughts and prayers right now are with Ryan Newman and his family.
When you're going 200 miles an hour, and it's also the assumed, as soon as you take the white flag at the Daytona 500, you don't lift until either that son of a bitch is flipped over in the catch fence or you cross the start-finish line because there's so much money on the line. Like, you're not lifting to let somebody in. You're not lifting if somebody's wrecking because you are just going, try to get your car back to start-finish line as fast as possible. So when I saw Ryan Blaney hook, I was probably running 6th or 7th coming to the start-finish line. I seen him get hooked, and he kind of went in front of me. He was probably 100 yards ahead of me. And there was a little bit of smoke, and next thing I know, it was upside down, and the windshield crushed down to about here, and I get out of the car, like it knocks the intake off and all that, so it's caught on fire, and funny story, I get out, and there was a picture that kind of went viral of me like on my knees and the car's on fire in the background, and it looks like I'm praying. I wasn't praying. I felt like I got kicked in the balls.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was trying to catch my breath. Yeah, I wasn't praying. It felt like Dwayne Johnson at full speed running, kicking my balls.
And that's what happened.
That's why I was on my knees.
And
it hurt real bad.
Have you talked to Newman since then?
Yeah.
Because you weren't the fault. We watched the video. I watched the video. I saw that he was already flipping, and you hit him, but it was nothing you can do. You're going at, I don't know, 180, 200, whatever it is.
You couldn't avoid him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't see where he was going. But yeah, like when it was just a miracle in general that he walked out of the hospital 3 days later. Yeah. But we were doing an event in Phoenix like 3 or 4 weeks later. He still wasn't cleared yet, but he showed up, and I was sitting with my back towards the door with a couple of people, and next thing I know, it was a big old, farmer's arm wrapped around my neck, like giving me a little bear hug, and it was Newman. So like, it was a little bit of an emotional moment for sure. I put it on my Instagram when it first happened, but like just to see the whole scenario, because as much as we are fierce competitors, and you want to take that guy's food off his plate just as much as he wants to take it off yours, like, you generally care about everybody's well-being, right? There's a lot of people, whether that be pit crew guys, whether that be drivers, like you want everybody to be safe, but that's part of the deal, man. If that would have happened 10 years ago, Newman's done, man, like done. Yeah. So knock on wood, we haven't hurt anybody since Dale in 2001. So I think that NASCAR certainly should be celebrated for what they've been making these race cars faster and allowing us
faster, more
keep
fun, the protection. We've talked about that with the netting for the fans. I know you're a family man, married. You got a kid on the way.
I got a kid on the way. Got a 2-year-old and another one coming.
2-year-old and one coming. Does that change your perspective? Does that change the way you race?
Yeah.
Knowing that you got 2 babies, you got a wife, you got all that.
It's funny. Like, I've always looked at other people when they have babies. Like, yeah, baby slows you down a little bit. Like, you're thinking about, that kid. You're not gonna hang that thing out. I'm the opposite. Like because I gotta feed that little sucker. Yeah. That sucker goes through a lot of diapers. There you go. And the better dad finishes, the more food Levi Ronnie can eat. Levi. And I, hey, if I run better, like, hey, he's gonna make more money if I die from my life insurance policy than what I would for the rest of my life. Thank you. I don't want to say that,
that's
but
why
like,
you a dog. But thank you, Corey.
Go hunt, man.
I'm better off dead than alive.
For them, financially, yeah.
Financially,
yeah. But oh man, my wife's gonna hate me for saying that.
But you didn't. Hey, they make it look so easy, but they risk their lives every time they get in that car. But they make it look easy, and you turn it on and you watch them drive around, they could die at any moment.
It's the same as football, though. It's the same as football. I mean, like, the percentage is low, right? But it's the same as football. Like, it's crazy.
Well, the percentages to get hurt probably in football are higher than what it is for a race car driver. But Daytona, Talladega are your two that, like, you hug the wife for a couple extra seconds before, like, you go. You know what I mean? Like, you know that if you're gonna you get upside down, you're gonna fly like a parachute. When I go to Talladega, like, you'll like hug her for a couple extra seconds, because like, if you're gonna go, it's gonna be one of them too. That's also why 200,000 people show up to watch it, because there's the daredevil aspect of it. So it's a little bit of give, a little bit of take, but it does make you nervous. But that's why they make those belts adjustable, because you can cinch them down a little harder.
Wow. So Talladega, NASCAR, Daytona.
Super speedway.
Super speedways.
Those are two
what is it, like?
2.5 miles.
Yeah. To take off.
Yeah. Well, NASCAR's done a good job. Yeah. Now they keep them on the ground quite a bit better. But when you watch commercials, come out to Daytona, it's usually somebody upside down is how they're marketing. But that's also why like people like NASCAR equally for the crashes sometimes and the excitement as they do for side-by-side, cool restarts or photo finishes, which I'm good with it. I
want the plate racing.
You like super speedway racing? It's fun, man. It's like...
I like seeing y'all boys open it up.
Different skill set.
It's playing chess with 3,600-pound chunks of steel. It's pretty fun.
All right, so to land this show, I want to be your marketing agent.
All right.
Cool. Do you have someone?
Yeah, I got a good team around me. I've got a lot of great partners as well with Built Bars, a protein bar company that
Protein Bar?
Yeah.
Protein Bar, I tried to partner with them back in 2015. I wanted to invest. They didn't let me invest, but go ahead, whatever.
Where, Built Bar?
Protein Bar.
Another bar. Yes, Built Bars. It's a brand of protein bars.
Built Bar.
B-U-I-L-T.
Okay. Shameless plug. Go ahead. What else?
That's my life, bro. Schluter System.
I like it. I like it.
Plug is your life.
Nah, man, I can plug everybody. They want to get plugged too.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, go.
Who got the phone?
Go ahead.
What you got going on
know. To end it, really.
No, because I got one thing. I want to be his marketing agent, Chan. So I'm trying to figure out who's on his team.
I'm lucky to be surrounded by a killer group of people.
All right, stop.
How much it costs?
Oh, he about to get serious.
I don't want a retainer.
Okay.
I want a rev share. No, I don't even want rev share. Just give me a % of what I bring in. What I kill, I eat.
Fine. I'll eat it with you.
You like it? You like that? Athletes love that. Yeah. Athletes are like, right. Like, you bring in deals, whatever.
Yeah, I invite the whole block out to eat.
Right. So here's how I believe you should position yourself because, and we could potentially land a plane with this because it's like everyone in NASCAR feels like, it seems like this is the sentiment that when you win, everybody wins. Like people are waiting for you.
Yeah.
You're in a car that really, it's a 15-place car.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, are we going to see you top 5 right now? Probably not. We need more.
Yeah.
Right? Next gen, hopefully we'll see this in 2022, right?
You got it. You're starting to figure it out. Like that.
I'm with you. But to me, we talk about the sexiness.
Well, we need a lip sponsorship.
Sit down. No lips. I'm not going there.
Bro, you were talking about the man lips.
Time out. Hey, hold on, time out. I know.
I'm gone.
Okay.
He's beautiful.
He is beautiful. But all right, Chan, listen. This is how we gonna position him.
Okay, I'm gonna sit down for a second.
Listen, this is a good one. I'm done with the lips. Your lips is beautiful. The shade of pink is great.
Let's get past
it. You didn't say it.
If you say lips, I'm gone.
All right, if I say lips again, what's the shade of them? They're beautiful.
Beautiful man.
All right, cool. All right, hold on, time out.
You want to raise kids together?
Bro, but listen, we need to be going after Gucci. Hold on, time out. We need to be going after Gucci, Prada, Lanvin, Balenciaga, right? Like, think about that. Like
the shoes that look like socks.
You're sexy, you're beautiful, right? You're the hottest guy in NASCAR. I'm sorry, Daniel.
Well, Daniel's in Xfinity. He could be the sexiest guy in Xfinity. I can be the sexiest guy in Cup.
That's true.
There you go.
So now what I'm saying is when we go to the racetrack, let's put a suit on. You be the... When's the last time we seen a driver wear a suit?
You know what?
You're looking at him.
You're looking at him.
You did this?
He did it already. B, you behind.
The boss baby.
Boss baby.
He had a tux. He had a tux fire suit.
Conor McGregor in the UFC. What'd he do? Boom. Here I am.
You do feel strong when you're in a suit, though.
Bruh, I'm telling you, that's what we do in the NFL. As we travel, we wear suits. Now take it to the next level.
What's Dion say?
You look good, you feel good, you feel good, you play good, you play good.
They pay good.
That's the show. Hey.